My name is Sean. I post True Crime Weekly. If you enjoy, please subscribe. Today we are looking into the disappearance of Danielle Stislicki. Now enjoy this week's episode on Morning Crime Time. Danielle Stislicki, a 28-year-old woman living in an apartment in Farmington Hill, Michigan. By all accounts, Danielle was a dear friend and a loved daughter by her parents Anne and Richard Stislicki, and all her friends and family. She graduated Redford Union High School in 2006, but settled in her local area and moved into an apartment on her own. Her parents lived just 50 minutes away in a much more rural area. Danny worked for MetLife. She was a reliable worker and a sweet, helpful person, described as an open book. On Friday, December the 2nd, 2016, she was at work at her job like any other Friday, only this time she was texting her friend Sarah. Sarah was having some personal issues. Following this, Danny and Sarah had made plans for that night. Danny texted Sarah saying she had to go to her apartment after work and grab a bag with some clothes, and would meet up with her for dinner and stay with her for the night. This text would be the last one Sarah got from Danny. She was expecting her at her house in the evening, but Danny never showed up. Now worried, Sarah would call and text Danny numerous times with no answer. But Sarah, she was a nurse and she worked long hours with very rare days off. It wouldn't be too long until she would fall asleep. It would be the next morning when Sarah, she woke up and still had heard nothing. She became incredibly worried because Danny would never ever blow her off like this. It was completely out of character. Sarah texted that morning saying, "Where are you? I'm worried." Even saying, "Are you alive?" Still nothing back from Danny. Sarah rang Danny's sister and she didn't hear anything either, but thought nothing of it. So with this information, Sarah made her way over to Danny's apartment to see if maybe she fell asleep after work. Maybe she was just tired. She arrived at 6 p.m. She was met with Danny's vehicle in her usual parking spot. She thought Danny was in the apartment, trying everything to get her attention by throwing pebbles at the window, even using her horn to alert her, but nothing. She then reported Danny is missing. Danny's family, they then showed up checking her car. It was locked and her purse was still sitting on the passenger seat with everything still in it, strangely. You see, Danny would never leave her purse in her car like that. She had more sense. This was a massive red flag. They then got her keys and went into her apartment, which was the same as always. Nothing out of the ordinary. No signs of any struggle. The police now got involved and they took the vanishing of Danielle very seriously. They asked the public if anyone's seen Danielle leave her MetLife job around 4:30 to 5 p.m. on the 2nd of December. They also asked if anyone's seen Danielle's Jeep or if it was seen pulling into her apartment block. It appears the police are trying to track the movements of Danny, if she even left her job that evening. Over the next few months, there were extensive searches for Danielle on the ground and air, but they didn't uncover anything. The detective said her phone pinged at her job at 4:47 p.m. Then from 4:48 the phone moved east and pinged from a location in Berkeley until around 7:53 p.m. The phone moved again, going to an apartment at 8:16 and then was turned off. With this information, the police sent a team to Danielle's workplace to determine if she actually left work or even if she left on her own. They interviewed a colleague of Danny's, her name was Debbie. She said they both left the office together on Friday at around 4:47 p.m. and walked to the parking lot. When Debbie was walking to her car, Danny separated and was walking towards her car, but she started walking towards a grey car in the office car park, which had the hood up and had a male driver inside. Debbie recognised the person in the car who Danny was chatting to, a person who once worked in the MetLife building, but was no longer employed by them. His name was Floyd Galloway Jr. So now we have a potential suspect in Floyd Galloway Jr. But who is Floyd? Floyd lived in Berkeley with his partner who was frequently in and out of hospital due to being diagnosed with cancer. He was contacted as a security personnel in MetLife for a period, which is how Danielle knew him. As part of his job, Floyd would man the front desk and walk women from the office to their cars safely. Floyd was described as a very nice man and very approachable. His previous colleagues said Floyd had a thing for Danielle and he liked her. Danielle's mum Anne worked in the MetLife building also, and would frequently take lunch break with her daughter Danny on the 4th floor canteen. She said Floyd would often approach him and make small talk, which was kind of awkward and weird, as he was supposed to be manning the desk 4 floors down, and he would only be seen on the 4th floor when Danny was on her lunch break. She remembers this one time when there was a bouquet of flowers left on Danny's desk with a sticky note on it. The sticky note said, "From secret admirer. Hope this made you smile today." It was unsigned. The flowers came from someone in the building, as outside deliveries were not allowed. I wonder who sent her those flowers. I think we all know who it is, unfortunately. Upon investigation into Danny's apartment, now going off what we have, detectives found something interesting. They found a phone which held conversations between Danny and Floyd. These conversations were just Floyd trying to convince Danny to come over to his house, and him constantly texting her, with her texting back one or two worded answers, not showing any interest. Seems Floyd was infatuated with Danielle. Investigators are now escalating their investigation into Floyd Galloway Jr. They found he called in sick in his security job on the evening Danielle went missing. When investigators went to speak with Floyd, his hands were visibly shaking, and he lawyered up straight away. Now, with all the fingers pointing towards Floyd being the number one suspect, they carried out 2 search warrants on his property. They collected upward of 300 items of evidence from his property during these searches. And on December 19, 2016, the Farmington Police Department announced that based on their evidence, Danielle Stisliki is no longer a missing person case, and that it is now a murder case. They believe that Danny was abducted and murdered. Why wasn't Floyd arrested, you say? I was thinking the exact same. But the police, they don't have the most crucial evidence they need. They need the body of Danielle Stisliki. But then on June 28, 2017, Floyd was charged, but it was for a totally separate case. These charges were for the assault of a jogger in September 2016. A 28-year-old woman reported to the police she was assaulted by Floyd Galloway while she was jogging. She was able to give a composite sketch to detectives. They arrested and charged him with the help of DNA. Floyd ended up confessing to this in court.
On September 4th, 2016, about 7 p.m., I was at Hines Park in Boyne. I saw a woman jogging on the path I was walking on. Now she passed me and floated to the ground from behind, but pulling my
Gonna need you to speak up, sir.
I restrained her from getting on top of her, hitting her and choking her. I did all of this in order to have sex with her. After a few minutes, I got off of her, let her go, and I ran away. I did not have sex with her.
Just a couple follow-up questions, Your Honor. Mr. Galloway, this woman, you did not have her consent to do any of these things, and your intent to have sexual contact, penetration with her would have been against her will, correct? Without her consent?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And will counsel stipulate...
And just so it's clear, you didn't have consent to do the other things you did to her either, is that correct, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
He was given a sentence of 16 to 35 years in jail for this. Now, following this, in March 2019, charges were finally put against Floyd for first-degree premeditation murder of Danielle Stisliki. The evidence was described as compelling, even though Danielle's body was not found. From Floyd's apartment, they found there was a patch of carpet replaced on or shortly after the 2nd of December. They tested the material around the patch of the replaced carpet and found DNA matching Danielle Stisliki. The trial for the murder of Danielle Stisliki by Floyd Galloway Jr. is pushed back to 2022. So with all the information we have, what do we think happened to Danielle the day she disappeared? This is what I think happened. Floyd Galloway Jr. he waited in a MetLife car park for Danielle to finish work at 4 p.m. Then it is likely he lured her over to his car pretending there was something wrong with it. It is likely he then persuaded her to give him a lift back to his home in Berkeley, as he was seen to be a passenger in Danny's car by some of her colleagues.
Did you see someone in the vehicle with her?
Yes,
Who was that?
the defendant.
Floyd must have invited Danielle into his home, which is when he attacked and murdered her. Then a few hours later he likely drove Danny's car back to her apartment with all her belongings in there. But how did he get home from Danielle's apartment when he dropped off her car? Floyd was seen him walking towards a nearby Tim Hortons, and he used their phone and ordered a cab and got a coffee also. The taxi cab and coffee was paid in cash. He took the cab to an address close to a MetLife and walked around and retrieved his car, which he had originally left there, and which he originally pretended there was something wrong with, but there obviously wasn't, as he was seen on CCTV driving it out. It is believed Danny was murdered in one of the bedrooms in Floyd's house, but it is not known how and what time he disposed of Danielle Stisliki's body, as her body has not yet been found. For now, that is all we have for this case, and the trial it is still ongoing, but it is likely he will be found guilty of Danny's murder. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. If you have any cases you would like me to cover, please send me an email or drop me an IM on Instagram with a case. Thank you and have a nice day.